Hello everyone. Today I'm looking at two products that Lightwish kindly sent me for review, a beautifully crafted wooden watercolor set and a sketchbook with a built-in storage compartments for your watercolor supplies. I'll be sharing a close look at the features of each, swatching the paints, testing a few watercolor techniques, and then we'll be painting this beautiful strawberry jam jar from my Strawberry Whimsy coloring pack, so we can see how the paints perform in a real painting session. So first we're going to look at the wooden walnut case paint set. Rather than plastic or metal, it's crafted from real solid wood, giving it a warm, handcrafted appearance. On the back of the packaging are the color swatches along with paint information and light fast information. The wood grain and finish on the box itself makes it feel like more like an artist's keepsake than a typical art paint supply container. The palette folds out and is held down closed by magnets. There's also a sheet of acrylic, hard acrylic, that holds the paints in place, so that if you tip the box upside down, the paints will not go all over the place. They are loose in the box. There are two watercolor paper swatch cards. And as we open the case, there are 24 full pans of a wide variety of colors. And there are mixing areas, one on each side of the palette to mix your colors. There's a reset open area at the bottom underneath the paints where you can put your travel paintbrushes. My regular paintbrushes won't fit there. Pens, pencils, just a few items there. The magnets that hold the box closed are strong, and the hinges are well made. There are two areas at the base of the box where you can use that to open up the box easier with your thumb. The case that wraps around the walnut box is fake leather. It also transforms into a stand. There are magnets within that cover that allow it to be positioned at two different angles while you're painting. So you can use it as a little easel, which may be more comfortable than working with a completely flat setup, depending on your preferences. I recommend using a clip of some sort to hold your watercolor paper down in case you're painting outside, and that way it won't blow away. Or you can also use this stand as a holder for a phone or a tablet, which could be useful if you're working from a photo reference or following an art tutorial. Because this palette is made from solid wood, some artists may wonder about the size and weight. To give you a better sense of the scale, here it is beside my iPhone. While it's certainly not as lightweight as a plastic palette, it's still compact enough to fit comfortably into a backpack or a crossbody bag. The length of it is a little bit longer than, say, two iPhones side by side. So this stand actually came in handy while I was filming the video. I used it to hold my iPad so I could follow my video outline points while filming. Now, the watercolor sketchbook is made from faux leather as well, and it has a soft, high-quality feel that was nice to be able to hold in my hands. Just for a size comparison, you can see how big it is beside my iPhone. It's held together with a strap that you just wrap around a few times and then tuck in. Inside is a area where you can put your brushes and your pens, and the little flaps there protect the heads of the brushes while they're in the slots. There is a removable set of watercolor paper, 140-pound cold press 300 GSM, held together in a binder ring setup at the top, and that actually will come out of the slot that it's slotted into there. So you can pull it out and paint with it at a different angle. The paper is refillable, or is you could buy refills for that, or you can just hole punch your own watercolor paper and make it sized to fit. There is an area where you can put a small watercolor palette, like a travel set, in the pouch there. There's also a place where you can put your finished paintings in the slot underneath the compartments on the left. So there are enough compartments in this to bring your watercolor essentials supplies, such as washi tape and your paint palette, paint brushes, water brush, pencil, fine liners, and maybe a clip if you need one. So I'll just do a quick overview of what watercolor supplies I would bring here. So this is just a candy tin that I have my tube watercolors in. I was using a prescription pill containers that I just squeeze the tube colors into, and then they have a little lid which makes them not quite as spillable if the paints were still wet with water. So I've managed to fit that in the side, a mechanical pencil, a fine liner pen, and then a regular pencil. I could put some washi tape up or an eraser up in the top compartment there. And then on the right, I'm just going to add a few brushes. And so I'll just put the flap over top of those to help protect the brush heads. And I find a water brush is really handy if you're going out to do some outside painting and sketching. That way you don't have to worry about what you're going to bring your water in with a water cup or a jar. And the water brush is really handy that way. I don't have to worry about where I'm going to get my water from. And then just my white fine liner gel pen. And then we just close it up and wrap the cord around it a few times, and I'm all set for some outdoor painting. Or it doesn't have to be outdoor painting, it could be indoor painting, like at work, just anywhere away from home where I can't bring all my watercolor supplies. This is a great way to be able to bring all my basics and then still be able to paint away from home. And this sketchbook case also allows for the two sides to be flipped over to just the back there, and then you can hold this and paint like so. So back to the walnut wooden palette. These are loose in the case. There is no marking of what the paints are on the pan itself. So if you were to get these mixed up somehow, you'd either have to rely on your knowledge of your paints, or I would suggest just marking them with a permanent marker as soon as you get the case. That way you'll know what your paints are. So I'm just going to swatch out these paints to see how transparent or opaque they are, and how they behave on this watercolor swatch paper. My first impressions of these colors was that they were easy to lift out of the pan. They didn't take much to activate them, and they're smooth and creamy. I'm not going to show you all the swatches. I will show you the final piece that I've finished swatching, and I will point out my favorite colors, which were the gold ochre, madder lake red, indigo, green deep, English red, and the sepia. So overall, I like the wide range of colors and the vividness of these paints as well. So now I'm just going to do a few watercolor techniques just to see how these paints behave. I'm using 140-pound hot press watercolor paper. And the first thing I'm going to do is just put down a layer of paint for my wet on dry test. So I need this to dry first before I place another layer of wet paint over it. I'm going to be doing a wet on wet technique test as well. And I'm just laying down some of the madder like red color and then some of the green deep and just seeing how those blend together. And overall, I was pretty satisfied with how that behaved with wet water, wet paint, and how they mixed together. So now I'm just going to test out a gradient. So I'm using some indigo, and then I'll be using another blue just to see how those blend together, and they mixed nicely together. I'm just doing a very abstract landscape scene here. Some yellow just to sort of create a little bit of grass, and then I'll be doing just a couple darker trees on the side to test how the colors will lift. So overall, I was very happy with how the gradient part of this test. And I'm laying down some dark colors to see how or if they will stain the paper, and then how well they lift out when they're still wet. So I used the lamp black and the sepia, and they actually lift out very well with a Kleenex, and they didn't stain the paper. Now it's possible that some of the yellows and the reds may stain the paper more than these particular two colors, but I was happy with how these colors lifted out. I'm just mixing some blue and red together on that mixing area to make a purple, and then I'm laying that over the wet on dry test, and that layered quite nicely. I'm just practicing another wet on wet technique to see how some of the other colors behave. And I was happy with how these blues and the purples blended together. So I was happy with how these test techniques turned out, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how these paints will behave with one of my line art scenes on watercolor paper. So for the real life testing, I'll be using a page from my Strawberry Whimsy mini coloring pack. It's a strawberry jam jar with some strawberries there, and just laying down some clear water to form the basis of the background. I'm not going to narrate too much through the actual painting process of this. I will come back to you at the end and just give you my final thoughts on these paints. I really like how the wet on wet technique turned out for this jam jar. It the red had a lovely disbursement there, and it's just such a nice soft wash. And you'll see that when there's a close up on here. So I'm quite happy with that, how that turned out, and the background as well. The green deep color in this set is such a really nice green. I'm very happy with that green, and you'll notice that I will also be using it for the lid cloth as well, just because I wanted to tie it together with the um, the the area that the jar is sitting on. So now that I've finished the painting process part of this, I just want to say a few things that I do like about these paints is the nice, rich, vibrant colors and there's a nice wide selection of paints. So this would be, a great set to have. There are definitely some favorite colors I have from this set. They layer nicely and they lift well. I like that there are two mixing areas for this case. The wood case itself is beautiful and it's compact enough to suit my needs space-wise. I do like the fact that the faux leather case that goes around it is doubles as a stand, and I would find that quite handy myself to have my tablet there watching tutorials or to help me with my video outlines and such. I think this would make a great student set, the upper level of a student grade paint. And I'm happy with how the paints behaved and how they look. And I haven't tested the light fastness of them yet. I would need some time to determine which colors are actually light fast and which will fade. I do think that this would of paints would be nice for those of you who like to have a portable set that you can take with you outside of the home and while you're traveling. It would be great for beginners. There's a wonderful selection of paints, and for students as well, it'd be an upper tier student set for sure. The sketchbook itself with the compartments for my art supplies. I'm looking forward to taking that out and about with me when I travel away from home, whatever manner that may entail. I would like to thank Lightwish again for sending me these products. I was not paid for this video or sponsored for the video, and all opinions are my own. So if you would like to give these products a try, I will have the links in the description. I hope you found this review helpful. Let me know in the comments what features stood out to you most. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Stay whimsical, everyone, and I'll catch you in my next video. Take care. Bye.